definition of the groom is a person who is responsible for some or all aspects of the management of horses. The aspiration of many young people, students and school leavers who have a love for horses is to become a senior competition groom, touring the world with magnificent horses and working with professional riders. For the fortunate few this may become a reality. However, for very many others their path will be one of long working hours with poor rates of pay in difficult or the worst cases unsafe working conditions, with little or no opportunity to break into the big league. My name is Victoria Rhodes. In this short video I would like to discuss the role of the groom in the education pathway of the equestrian world. A typical route for a young person into the position of a groom will be to leave school at the age of 16 years old and then go on to college to complete their education with a qualification in horsemanship before looking into the first position as a groom. However, many youngsters follow a different path, leaving school to take on an apprenticeship or a working student role in the hope that this would lead them into their dream job, but this will often require them to leave home and live away from their family and friends despite their young age. Even as a groom, the rates of pay for the majority are best in line with minimum wage, but often these jobs will appear to have associated perks such as free or discounted accommodation, free livery for their own horses or free lessons. But all too often these supposedly free perks will actually lead to mandatory deductions being taken from the pay, which may add up to significant reductions in the bottom line income. Additionally, the terms and conditions associated with these jobs are typically very ambiguous, and although they believe they are employees, often these roles are set up by the employing yard on a freelance basis with no formal contract, meaning that tax and national insurance may not be paid correctly, and significantly, that grooms are often not protected by sick pay or employee liability insurance if they were to become injured at work. The situation for working students can be even more grim. In addition to the same challenges that are faced by grooms, working students will typically be younger, often living away from home for the first time, and may be isolated from friends and family, which leaves them open to risk of exploitation by the operator of the yard where they both live and work. In some cases, working students have been expected to work for at least 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and after all the deductions have been made from their pay, may be left with an income that represents an hourly rate of £2 to £3 per hour. As part of the apprentice deal, they are supposed to be getting training at the yard which will equip them to be able to become a groom, but all too often this training is inadequate, ad hoc or non-existent, and consequently these working students simply become a very poorly paid yard hand. The yard owners will argue that in return for their efforts, the new grooms and students coming through the system will gain the experience they need to benefit from better paid jobs in the industry. But some would argue it has always been this way, and that these youngsters need to pay their dues before they can expect to progress. However, just because it always has been this way does not mean that it's right in this modern world. Whilst it is reasonable for the yard owners to expect these newcomers to have completed a training programme and have gained experience before they become a better paid member of the yard team, it is equally reasonable for the incoming team member to expect to be provided with this comprehensive training that they have been promised, and know that they are working reasonable hours for reasonable pay in safe conditions with health and welfare support if something goes wrong. But sadly, this is not always the case. The truth is that whilst ever there is a good supply of new young people leaving the education system keen to break into the equine world, and there are still yard owners who are prepared to take advantage of them, and sadly, the pay and working conditions is unlikely to improve anytime soon.